This episode, we'll be discussing pets, perspectives and responsibilities of both owners and tenants.
I like to be educated, but I'm so frustrated. Hello to my loneliness. I guess that ignorance is bliss.
Welcome to Parkstone at Home, a podcast where we talk property, home and living in Queensland, Australia. If you own property or are interested in investing, or if you're like me and are currently renting, then this is a podcast for you. As always, I'm Hayley, Marketing Director, and I'm joined by Elizabeth Jackson, owner of Parkstone Property and local Mackay entrepreneur.
I wish I knew.
Hi.
Hi.
How's it going?
Yeah.
Good. Let's jump right in. So, this we're on episode 6. Super exciting.
Wow.
I wanted to introduce a new thing for our episode. So, before we shared something like inspiring or something like that, but this time I've gone a little bit further and I have, for the visual viewers, I have this cup.
Oh.
For the audio people, it's a cup. And in it is a bunch of questions.
Okay.
Courtesy of our lovely robot overlords at ChatGPT.
Yep, lovely. Thank you.
So, actually, do you want to pick one out and we're going to both answer it?
Okay. Pressure. All right. What have we got here? Oh, no. If you could tell your 10-year-old self one thing, what would it be?
Oh, we jumped into a sad, deep and meaningful.
Whoa, this is deep.
10-year-old self.
Okay, I'll go.
Go.
Don't overpluck your eyebrows when you get older. We've all been through the pencil eyebrow thing. It's not cool. It's not worth it.
No.
Go try everything.
Yeah.
Have a go.
Yes.
And not everyone is going to be your cup of tea. You're not going to be everybody's cup of tea either.
Yes.
And that's okay.
Yep.
I think that's really deep.
I like that.
Other than that, still play netball. Continue with netball.
Did you stop at 10?
I stopped when I was in high school because then
Yep.
life kind of took over and then it's like, oh, where do I fit that in? When really I should have kept going because I
Yeah.
did really enjoy it. And the team camaraderie that went with it,
Yep.
the exercise.
Yes.
But, yeah, everything will be okay. Because at 10 there's so much going on. Still trying to find yourself and have
Yep.
friends, and school is like your world. You don't think anything is
It really
outside
is.
of that.
Yeah.
But then, as I'm now old, it's like I just want to go back to school. There was no bills.
Oh my gosh, I've been thinking that so much.
Everything was so much simpler. It was about, okay, who's got their hair done today or who likes who.
Yeah.
And none of this, I've got bills to pay.
Yeah.
Oh, no, direct debit's coming out at the end of the month. Or so much more responsibility.
Yes, I agree.
What would you say?
Similar to yours, everything's going to be okay. And also don't eat too much at your not Halloween party, at your birthday party, your 10th birthday party, and throw up all night after that. That was awful. And yeah, just don't be scared, I guess. I was a very neurotic, very anxious child.
Okay.
So I think, just try to push yourself and be brave and do brave things, because that will help not make you into a more scared older teenager.
Yeah. I think though, what we go through has made us who we are today though. So
yeah, that's true.
I look at my own children who, my youngest is 11, turning 12 this year. And I look at it and I go, I try to help them not make the same mistakes that I did. But I think it's really important that they do, because then they go through those motions, the emotions, the consequences, and the whole brain process of, okay, that was a dumb choice.
Yep.
But,
Yep.
I wanted to do it. Maybe I don't do that again. But without going through that, they then don't experience it. So then they don't know that everything has a consequence.
It's true. You could be a completely different person if things had gone differently.
Yeah.
That's right.
Definitely. If, as I was older, if I had gone to uni, I don't know where I would be now. Probably not sitting here doing this.
No.
It would have been a very, very different career.
That's right.
So
You would not have been answering deep and meaningful questions.
No, that's right.
Out of a milkshake cup.
Yeah.
That's for sure. Yeah.
I mean, even this milkshake cup has got memories, doesn't it? It's
It does.
it goes back to the 80s.
It's been used. Yeah, it's lived a life.
Yeah.
I feel you,
It's seen some
milkshake cup.
things, yeah.
You and me both. We're the same. All right. That was a good one. Good one to start with.
Yeah,
Love
it
that.
was.
All right. So, pets.
Yes.
Today's pets. What pets do you have?
I don't have any pets.
You do have children, though.
I have children, so, you know,
Don't need pets now.
I'd probably prefer a pet if I no, I'm kidding.
Cut that
I
one out.
love-
Cut
I
that
love
one
my
out.
children. Yeah, get rid of that. No, I do love my children. Pets, unconditional love though.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Probably more dogs than cats. Cats can be very particular
They're
about who
roommates.
they love. Yeah.
They're roommates. Yeah.
They will come to you when they want love.
That's right.
But then they'll leave you alone. And when you want love, they don't want to give
No.
you love.
God, no.
Whereas a dog,
Because that's
unconditional.
embarrassing.
Yeah. But puppy dogs though always will
Yeah.
greet you with a
Yeah.
wagging tail, even if you've just told them off for something. It's like they've got a memory like a fish.
Oh,
they,
yeah.
they forget that you've just yelled at them about
Oh, they
digging
do.
a hole. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I've got a Border Collie Kelpie
Oh,
cross.
cute.
Yes. So, she's insane. She does not stop.
Yeah. But she is a
But
working
no, all
dog.
that.
So
oh,
that's
yeah,
her
she's
breed,
a working
yeah.
dog. Exactly. But I've noticed lately, because I'm pregnant, she'll just sit at the end of the hallway, and I'm at the other end of the hallway, and she'll just look at me.
Oh,
She has this really
studying.
concerned look in her
Okay.
face. I'm like, can you stop? I'm
But
okay.
does she sometimes, like before you knew you were pregnant, was she a bit more attentive around your tummy or cuddly for
Honestly,
you?
no.
Oh, really?
And they say, I've looked it up because I'm like, you should care more.
yeah.
But apparently it's more of a boy dog thing.
Oh,
Yeah, because they're very attuned to like, oh, now I have to protect
right.
the girl dog. But girl dogs don't really care as much, apparently. Like, they know because
Yes.
they smell it,
Yeah.
but they don't care as
But
much.
maybe they're just going, we know what you're in for and you're not going to like it.
Yeah, they're like,
Maybe.
yeah, get over it. We
Yeah.
usually
Is
have like
there-
5 at a time. You're
Yeah,
fine.
exactly. One mate. What are you even, like, why are you needing a nap?
Yeah. No, but she does look at me. She just has this intense look at me all the
Yeah,
time
okay.
at the moment.
She's
yeah.
just studying or maybe she's just watching and protecting from afar. Like you're
Yeah.
part of her pack and she's just hurting you.
She would too. She
Yeah.
does that. There you go.
But yeah, no, I don't have any animals. I grew up with animals.
Mm-hmm.
So we had a cat, a family cat, which we always knew that he was a boy, but the next door neighbour's cat they thought was a boy.
Yep.
They called her Frida. But then, and her tail got run over by the postie.
Oh, no.
So she became a stumpy cat.
Oh,
And then she had kittens with our cat.
Right.
And so it's like, sorry, they named it Fred, but then Fred's not a
Right.
Fred, Fred's a Frida. And yeah, there was this cute little kitten. Like cats are always cute when they're little. Like anything
Yeah.
small as a baby is
Yeah.
cute. And then I had 2 cats whilst I was married, and then no cats anymore.
Yeah. Done with cats.
I got the kids. No, I'm kidding. No more animals. And mainly because I knew that I'd be renting. And two,
Yes.
it's another mouth for me to feed. It's somebody else to look
Yep.
after. And I was just concentrating on looking after myself and my
Yes.
children to set ourselves up again.
Exactly. And
once
I think
that happened.
people probably should think about those things before they think about getting a pet. Of like, can you actually raise this pet in the most ethical way
I
for the
think
pet?
Just aside from renting as a topic, just in life in general,
Yeah.
animals, they're cute, and yes, they're beautiful when they're puppies or kittens or very small as babies, but then they grow. So, which, obviously, but the novelty can wear off.
Yeah.
And then suddenly they become this thing, this object that requires your attention as well as everything else in your life.
Yep.
So I'd love to get a dog right now, but the timing's not right. I spend too much time away from home, and that's not fair on the dog.
No, exactly.
To be left at home for 4 or 5 days at a time and have somebody pop by and feed it.
Yeah,
That's not
no.
cool. That poor dog, that dog needs and requires time and energy by its owners to look after it, love it, so
Yep.
it doesn't become anxious or, insanely dig everything in the backyard because it's bored. So looking at the bigger picture, then it comes down to, okay, when you do get an animal, breeds and whatever, it's going to work for you. But
I agree with you.
But yeah, I think being a responsible adult in terms of when the right time is to have an animal.
Yes, I think so too. Definitely not an impulsive decision.
No,
For sure. And I guess, like, if we're going to the topic of this episode, that comes to, responsibilities as a tenant
Yes.
towards your pet.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so, like, there's that. There's getting the pet in the first place.
Yeah.
Thinking about, is it even feasible to get this pet?
Yeah.
Is it, am I going to plan on renting in a while? Am I going to move to the city and
Correct.
start studying, start working in the city?
That's right. Like,
So I can't get a Big
Like,
Doberman,
yeah,
like you
yeah.
said.
So I'm not going to get like a Rottweiler and then I'm going to be wanting to look at apartments, and then that poor dog, that needs grass.
Yeah.
It needs fresh air. It needs to run around. It needs to touch, not just concrete or not just be in air-conditioned comfort every day. That's
Yep.
not fun for the dog.
No.
To be locked up all day while you're at work. And the costs, like if you do have an animal and you want to live in an apartment, do you then have the cost of a dog walker every day?
Or doggy
and-
daycare.
Yeah,
or-
and then grooming it and,
Oh, yeah.
what happens if that puppy dog or cat or animal gets sick?
Oh, yeah.
There's those extra
Hurts
costs.
themselves.
So, pets can be very similar to children in some ways because they are a long-term commitment.
Yep.
It could be 12 or 13 years depending on the breed, and we hope it could be, a little bit longer. But you don't want to just get something on impulse, like you say, and, it's so cute and fluffy, like the little Shih Tzus and
Yep.
things, like they look
Yep.
like little fluff ball things. But
I've
then,
been there and done that. I've said I was listening to some of our previous episodes, and I'd mentioned that I had a cat, I had a bird at one point, all very impulse
Yep.
decisions.
Yep.
Unfortunately, we don't have them now.
No.
But they're fine.
Yeah.
I promise.
Yeah,
We
yeah.
gave them away to loving homes. They are totally fine. Nobody got hurt. But it didn't work.
Yeah,
It did
and
not
I
work
think
out.
responsibilities as an adult, if you are looking to get a pet, and think about it long term, because not all owners are going to be open to an animal in their home. So
Do you think that more and more owners are becoming more open to it or becoming less open to it?
that's a very good question, because legislation has changed in Queensland just recently that owners really can't say no to an animal.
Yes,
So
I heard that.
yeah, basically, if a tenant applies for a property with an animal, we know from the outset they've got an animal. But if they want one, like they apply without one,
Yep.
and then 2 weeks later they move in, and then we want to get a dog. The owner's got 14 days to say yes or no to that. And if they don't respond at all, or via the agent they don't respond, then technically, that tenant can go and get an animal because they haven't heard from the agent / owner.
It's like an automatic yes,
Yeah.
basically.
Pretty much.
Wow.
Even if the owner says no, though, in that time period, and says no in that time period, then the tenant could then take them to QCAT and say, well, I do need an animal. It's unfair that you said no, and go through that whole process, and they could end up with the animal anyway. So in some ways, the owner doesn't really have a choice,
Wow.
which is tough as an owner because then you've got no say over what's in the property.
Because my understanding of it was that they need like a actual like reasonable reason to say no. So it might be like because specifically we have this type of fence and they'll jump it, or not that. It's something. It's about like damage or something. Like
Yep.
that was my understanding. Is that right or wrong?
Well, I'm not saying necessarily it's right or wrong. I think it's just some owners don't particularly want animals in the property. They may have had a bad experience of animals in the property previously.
Yeah.
Cats, unfortunately, if a cat urinates in on carpet, that stains that carpet, and that smell can go through into the cement.
Ammonium. Yep.
Yeah, and
Yep.
then it's there. Then that concrete, so you've got your carpet layer, then you've got the underlay, then you've got the concrete of the foundation of the property, if it's just a single story.
Yeah.
And then that gets into the concrete, and then it stays there unless that concrete is treated. And it becomes a massive expense for an owner or for a tenant if they've got their clauses and they had permission for the cat. Then it's the responsibility of that cat owner to then eradicate that smell.
Yeah.
But often, those smells may not come through for another couple of months after you've gone, and then that owner's left with that problem, or it becomes a big financial risk for an owner to have an animal in the property.
Yeah.
Cats are just that ammonia smell. Dogs can do the same thing, but
Yeah.
cats predominantly with their urine, it smells really bad.
Oh, yeah.
And same with
specific.
like a dog smell inside.
Yeah.
That can stay in a house, especially if you've got carpet. It just stays in there.
Yeah. So my rules with my dog, as in with the real estate.
Yeah.
She's an outside dog.
Yes.
She can't go in any of the carpeted rooms.
Yep.
but she can come inside to sleep in her crate.
Yeah.
And that's like the rules.
Yeah. And your crate's obviously on a tiled area or something.
Yeah, we have
that's not
tiles.
carpet.
Yeah, like she cannot go in the carpet rooms.
Yeah.
And she doesn't. Like
Yeah.
we've trained her not
Yeah,
to. Because also
yeah.
we don't want her in there because ew.
Yeah.
I know some people sleep with their dogs and stuff, but that is a no for me.
Look, but having said that, like, and I get that, and that's really great that you've been able to train your dog from get-go with that. But some people who they treat their puppy dogs like their children, and they get pampered and they're looked after better than perhaps children or another adult would. But their homes are immaculate, and these dogs are like pristine. So it's really difficult to know.
Lifestyle.
Yeah, like from an owner's perspective, there's so many things for them to take into consideration. It's not just your tenancy. It might be then the 3 or 4 subsequent tenancies after you've moved out, that there could potentially still be a roll-on effect from an animal that you've had. So there's so much, for an owner to consider. It's not necessarily what you said about the issues with the animal. It's and having a reason. Some owners just flat out no. Because
and they're allowed to do that?
Yes.
Oh, okay. See, I didn't
We
understand
don't
whether or not
have
that was
to give a reason necessarily.
Yeah.
Whilst it does help when we give the no, if you have a reason, it helps lower the severity of that no.
Reaction. Yeah.
It's just no, the owner said no. No if, no buts. There's no reason, just no.
But I guess then they can still take them to QCAT if they really wanted to.
If they really wanted to.
And they might become over.
But I think also too, you look at like we said before about having a Rottweiler or a Doberman in an apartment complex or a high story, multi-story apartment complex, for example. Think about that dog. Yeah. That dog's not going to like being inside all the time. It's going to look at the window like, oh my gosh, there's grass.
Yeah.
I don't know. Would they even comprehend that that's grass?
Honestly, I think they would.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just like, oh, that's outside and I want to get outside. Oh, there's another dog. I want to go play with that dog.
Yeah.
And, you got to think about, dogs, animals are an accessory, but they become part of your family.
Yeah.
So you don't want to have a miserable dog or cat.
Exactly.
I mean, cats generally are inside and they, legislation is, or I know in Mackay, in our council, cats have to be inside at night.
Yes. No, I'm pretty sure that is down here as well in Brisbane, Not that people follow that, but that's the rule.
Yeah, well, people sometimes let out their dogs of an afternoon and that's their afternoon walk.
Yeah.
And let them roam the streets.
That's really weird, actually. Yeah, no, my dog would not come back.
Yeah.
I have a weird question, actually, because we'll get into this, but obviously when you want to have a pet in the property, you put in an application for it. It's not just you bring it in.
Yep.
If you got like a fish, like a lizard in a tank, you put in a pet application for that too.
Still, You've got, look, if it's something that's contained, like a fish or a lizard or a snake, I really don't like snakes. But each to their own. Because it's contained though, you've got a greater chance. A bird in a cage is a little bit easier to get an okay because they're confined to inside or in a cage.
Yep.
We also put in there if there's any lice or anything from the bird in the property, that's their responsibility to fumigate for.
Because you always have to do a pest spray and stuff after when you leave.
Yeah, during and after. So if we go do a routine inspection and we get covered in fleas, that's obviously come from your animal.
That's awful.
So, I mean, look, there is a whole life cycle of a flea. There's a whole science behind it.
Yeah.
But it is part of a lease that it's your responsibility during and at the end of the tenancy to fumigate that property inside and out for fleas and ticks.
I think that's
just
fair.
As a safety as well, precaution.
Yeah.
But in terms of lizards and fish, an owner's really not going to say no to that because it's contained. If something happened to that fish tank or that tank itself or a snake got out, that becomes your problem as a tenant, not an owner's responsibility. And if there's any ongoing costs from that. And I mean, those kind of animals aren't going to cause damage to the property either.
Yeah.
So
not likely, unless you're like me and you let the bird out and it climbs on the window screens and puts the holes in it.
Yeah. Well, life lesson there, isn't there? Don't let the birds out of the cage.
God, yeah.
But and like cats too, like they can climb on curtains if there's heavy drapes. They pull on the carpet pile.
They cause so much damage.
A dog and a cat will, and even like a rabbit or a guinea pig, they can cause damage as well. So anything that's like that, it's possibly, you know, there's a lot more to take into consideration damage-wise
Yep.
than a fish or a snake or a
Yep.
lizard, because they're pretty docile creatures.
Yeah.
And they'll probably run away from you more than
Yeah.
actually try and attack you, whereas,
Yeah. You always need that application.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah. So let's say, yeah, we've got a pet. We're applying with a pet.
Mm-hmm.
What's your recommendation for making your application most likely to be approved?
Yep.
And or like what's
Make it
the
a bit more
process?
attractive
Yeah,
for the
yeah.
owner.
What's
I
the go?
suppose if you have rented with that animal before, on your reference, which you can't dictate what another agency is going to put on your reference when you're requesting it, but if we can see that you've rented for 4 years with that animal, we can then safely say, okay, and you've had routine inspections during that time and there's been no issues, cool, that animal. And I mean, if you've got an animal that's 11-year-old, a dog or a cat,
Yeah.
they're going to be pretty chill and sleep a lot of the time.
Yeah.
But if you've got a puppy, different story, because they're in that whole puppy age bracket of chewing things when they get bored or digging or whining a lot, or, you know, and you've got to think of neighbours as well. It's not just your house or the property you're applying for. It's other people around as well that you don't want to cause a nuisance with a new animal or an animal coming in. So in terms of applications, it's recommended that you put photos of the animal, do a little bio for the animal of, I really like to sleep and I have lots of toys, but I'm crate trained, or I don't dig, or a little bit about their personality as an animal.
Yep.
Because I do send the photos of the animal to the owner, because it helps them build or see what the animal looks like, and starts to build a relationship with that application as such.
Yep.
As much detail as you can about that animal. If it's desexed, if it is vaccinated,
Registered with the council.
registered with
Yep.
council, if it's up to date with its vaccinations, if you've got a regular vet that you take it to. If you don't have some of that information, you may not know it off by heart, or you might not have access to it when you apply, but it can also come across as you may not be the most responsible pet owner.
Yeah, you haven't really thought it through.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's no different. Like, that animal has, if it's registered, then if anything happens with that animal, people can find you as the owner, and we then know that you're paying, it might be $60 or $120, I don't know what it is, to register your animal, but it shows that you're taking steps to protect that animal as well if something does happen. As much information as possible, just like when we talked about in the past about your application for yourself or for those that are living for you. The more information you can give, the
Yeah.
better.
Yep. Putting that effort in,
Yes,
applying intentionally,
definitely.
all that sort of
Yeah.
stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I suppose, was there any other tenant responsibilities, or should we move on to maybe like what the owner's responsibilities are?
So in terms of tenant responsibility with pets, if you do have approval for a pet, when a real estate is coming and doing a routine inspection, or you've got tradies coming, make sure your animal is secure. If you know that your puppy dog hates men,
Yep.
most often than not, tradies, your plumber or electrician that's going to be visiting who may need to walk around the yard, prepare your animal for that. So make sure that they are either having a day away from the house
Yep.
to allow access, or it's in a crate, or your home to be able to hold on to your puppy dog or animal, so that our tradespeople don't get attacked. They won't ever enter a yard if there is a dog in there, regardless whether they are the nicest dog ever.
Yep.
Or you'd say, oh, no, the dog will be fine, it won't attack you. Dog's a
never
dog.
know. Yeah.
They have natural instinct, and if they are unsure or they feel threatened, they will attack. So at the end of the day, they are an animal. So
Yes.
they've got natural instincts. So definitely just be a responsible owner of your animals.
Yep.
In terms of leases and whatnot, in the general tenancy agreement, it does talk about pets and what your responsibilities are. Some real estates will add in an expansion on those clauses, giving a little bit more detail. But that's each to their own, what they do there. But it is stated in the general tenancy of what your responsibilities are as a tenant.
Yeah. So read it.
Yeah,
Make sure you
definitely
do
read it.
Yeah.
It's a legally binding document, guys, so you got to read it. It's
Read
because
the
you're
stops.
signing your life away for the next 12 months or 6
Yeah.
months. And if you say, oh, I didn't know that, it's like, well, we've given you
Didn't know
everything
that.
to read.
Yes.
It's up to you to read it. I can't read it to you word for word because you
No.
may not retain it anyway.
Exactly.
But yeah, read it before
Yep.
you sign it. And before you you get an animal, think about all the consequences potentially of that animal, all the costs.
That's
Be a
right.
responsible pet owner.
Right. So owner responsibilities.
In terms of pets in the house, your investment property, there's not a lot, because if that applicant or that tenant wants to have an animal, fences. If there's no fences when they moved in and then they want an animal, it's not your responsibility to put up fences to house that animal. It then becomes responsibility of the tenant because they want the animal. They have to make sure that area is suffice for that animal.
Yeah.
There's really no responsibilities as an owner for pet apart from saying yes or no.
Yeah.
Insurance-wise, you may need to check your policy for what that covers in terms of damage. So it more comes back to it comes back more to the landlord's insurance because any pet damage may fall under malicious damage. Whilst it might be accidental, it's still damage incurred on the property that. I think there might be a clause for accidental damage as well. So just double checking because if the tenant moves out and there is damage on the property, does it fall under general wear and tear or does it fall or general repairs? Or does it fall under accidental damage or does it fall under malicious? So it's just understanding what your policy covers in your landlord's insurance and your building. Not so much on your contents because your contents only covers your floor coverings, window furnishings, that kind of thing. And the tenant should have their own contents insurance too. It's a whole other conversation.
Yes, we will have an episode on that.
But in terms of ownership or owners with tenants in their property, there's not a lot they have to do. Right. It's just a yay or nay. And we, as an agent, make sure that those tenants are looking after the property and that the animal is not causing damage.
Yep. Just checking in on that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Fantastic. Short and sweet. I like it.
Yeah.
But no, we'll talk more on in like what you mentioned about tenants having insurance to cover their pets as well and to cover damage caused by their pets.
Yeah.
We'll definitely do an episode about insurance, I think, and mention that in there as well because that's really important stuff to have.
Yeah.
But otherwise, that brings us to the end. So
one thing I just wanted to say in terms of tenants with when they're vacating or during their tenancy, if their animal does damage something, it is their responsibility to rectify that and make that like it was prior to having that animal. So if you move into a house with an animal and carpets are all fine, there's no pulling in the pile, it's all brand new carpet, for example. If you vacate and there is differences or there's staining, animal stains on the carpet and the carpet cleaning won't bring that out, there will be a compensation claim on you and it could be anywhere from a percentage of that room, depending what the stain is, or if the stain is massive, it might warrant the whole room to be replaced. That unfortunately is your responsibility to rectify or pay for. Because you've brought that animal into the house. It was not like that when you moved in. It was, and it's there when you move out. That's part of owning an animal. You are responsible for its actions. If that animal was inside, clearly it was, and you can't tell me, oh no, the animal was never inside. Well, who made that stain? I mean, I have so many questions if that's not an animal stain. But it is, unfortunately, it comes under the tenant's umbrella to sort that out. Don't argue the fact, because if you get to QCAT, a civil administrator, the magistrate or the judge is going to look at it and go, well, hey, you had an animal, there's a stain there. It's an animal or it's a pet stain. A carpet cleaner has actually said it's a pet stain. You guys have to pay that. So you could put yourself through a whole lot of pain for no reason to try and get out of something because you don't want to take responsibility because you had your animal inside and it's made a mess. Be a responsible pet owner and accept responsibility. Yes, it's probably going to be expensive, but you've got to look at the bigger picture. Pets are expensive.
They are.
And they don't know that they're doing the wrong thing or weeing on the carpet. They don't know that it's carpet or I'm inside. So it it's not just, okay, I'm going to get an animal, it's going to be cute and fluffy and I'm going to love it to pieces. There is the responsibility that any actions any actions that animal takes, that's your consequence to deal with.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think that's really important because I've had situations where tenants have claimed black and blue, no, my animal didn't do that. It wouldn't do that. It doesn't do that. It's like, well,
it's not in its nature.
Yeah, but it's
He would
clearly
never. We
a
talked
pet
about
stain. Yeah, and it's not human, because that's disgusting. But each to their own. But it's like, okay, there is clearly damage. Or if your dog has chewed the corners inside a house, clearly that's not a child, that's an animal. Or they've chewed a downpipe outside. Well, it definitely wasn't like that on the entry condition report.
No.
Save yourself the hassle. Look at your entry condition report. Definitely wasn't there. Okay, my dog's done that. Yeah, okay, I'll replace that downpipe. Rather than dragging it out and then still having to pay it anyway.
Yeah.
Because the photos don't lie.
Yeah, that's right. Rightio. Well,
excellent.
Thank you for tuning into this episode of Parkstone at Home. I've been Hayley.
I'm Elizabeth.
And if you just can't get enough of us, you can stream the podcast on Spotify or wherever you get your podcasts. And follow us on socials at Parkstone Property, where we post shorts from these recordings and other updates from the Parkstone Properties Agency.
Fabulous.
Thanks. We'll talk to you in the next episode.
Bye.
Bye.
I wish I knew